So we use Salesforce.com, and it's antiquated the way we use it. We don't use it very well, so it's really more of a reporting tool.
Yep.
I'm changing roles, and I'll need to be wildly more active, and I'm looking for something that can manage a pipeline and churn, and be able to manage, spin cycle, manage new opportunities, callbacks better and faster.
Yeah. I love the mindset there. So before I answer your question, what is your thought? Are you thinking you're going to use dual CRMs, or would you have the ability to just not use the Salesforce, or are you going to put keynotes in the Salesforce, but then you want something else to keep you on target? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so ideally, I'd like to get the entire company to shift into doing something that's more sales friendly for all of the team. But selfishly, I would probably do this and pay for it on my own.
Yeah.
And use Salesforce for what really our company uses it for is monitoring opportunities and forecasts.
Yeah.
The smaller number, right?
Yep. That makes perfect sense, Jason, and I get it. And the last thing I want to do is bag on Salesforce or bag on corporate cultures, because to be honest, it makes perfect sense of why the Salesforce is set up. I haven't seen your iteration, but it makes perfect sense as to why it's set up the way it is. Because senior leadership, they need reports, they need dashboards, they want to get visibility of what's going on. But let's go back in time before even, and I'm going to really sound old, like I remember Goldmine. A lot of you weren't even born when Goldmine came out. But the reason why CRMs came out in the first place was to make us, you, me, everybody on this call, everybody watching this right now, more effective as salespeople, okay? That lasted for about a half a decade to a decade. 5-10 years, it was all designed to keep us on track so we wouldn't have to use like Franklin Covey day timers and all that nonsense. However, pretty rapidly after CRMs were developed, 5-10 years, especially when Salesforce came to the game and it was easy to start configuring your instances differently, the people that wanted the reports were the ones that would configure the instance. Well, unfortunately, for top-line producers like you and I and everybody on this, the way these are configured a lot of times is not helping us in any way. We're talking, there's these stages that really have nothing to do with sales. And I'll be honest, and I'm sure you're not there, but I've been there. I coach people that have been there where they're spending upwards of 20 to 30% of their time just trying to enter data. And then you get, and I'm not saying you would ever do this, but people have a propensity then to just, well, what does corporate want to see? And they're just entering stuff into the CRM just to enter it. And then it's almost like you have a side hustle of keeping your CRM up to date. And your CRM then at that point does not become anything that helps you. It actually becomes an anchor that's tying you back. So the way I understand your question is, I get it. I want to play by the rules. I'm not trying to jump ship. I'm not trying to be a maverick. I'm not trying to rock the boat. But at the same time, man, I've got some big goals for myself with this new role, and I want to make sure that I'm on task, that I'm moving forward, that I'm being skillful, that I'm being effective, that I'm being organized, okay? And I love what you're saying in terms of, well, it might be an opportunity for me to just get my own thing. Now, no shameless plugs here. I don't get paid by them yet. Maybe someday I will. Maybe someday some other CRM will pay me. I don't know. What you want is a CRM that's really flexible in order for you to be more skillful and efficient. The one that I use is Pipedrive. It's very inexpensive. If you're going to pay for it out of pocket, it's not that bad. I want to say $30, but I could be wrong. Let's double that and call it $60. I don't think for one instance you're going to pay any more than that. Might be less than $60. But what I like about this, Jason, is instead of trying to curate your CRM so that some senior leader can roll that into a dashboard and say, yeah, man, we've got $76 million in the 7 alpha stage of the pipeline, which means nothing to anybody, you can say, okay, I've got these 14 deals that I haven't made initial contact with. So this is the call that I'm gonna make. Then once you make initial contact, I have these 23 deals that haven't seen my price yet. And you can really design that, Jason, as a skillful, as an effective person to go, okay, I know what my stages are. Okay, this is a prospect that might be of value to me, but I haven't made contact. This is somebody that I have made contact to, but I haven't sent them any information on what I'm doing. This is somebody I've sent information to, but they don't know what my price is. This is somebody that I've sent a formal proposal to. This is somebody that we have scheduled a next step. And a next step, like for Raf's world, a next step is we're going to meet with them on April 17th to talk about their advertising campaigns for Q3, right? That's a next step, not a next step of, like in your traditional Salesforce CRMs, well, I'm supposed to call them back. You can create your own thing where you're like, nobody else is looking at this, so I can be totally honest with myself. And if you don't have a next step with that prospect, you can be totally honest. Another thing that I like in mine, when I set up that kind of Trello like you're looking for, is verbal commit. Because as I find, at least in my world, a good 80% of my deals tell me they're going to do business with me before I get the contract signed. But that's a pretty distinctive difference. Like if Raf says, hey, I want to put the entire team on 9 News on Easton University, I want to put him in that bucket because he's verbally said that, right? Now, if he comes back and goes, well, we can't get the deal done until Q3 of next year. My legal needs to look at it. Now I'm going to move him back into set a next step. So short answer to your question is I like Pipedrive. It's affordable. You can set up those columns. And that way, Jason, you can be super skillful. And that allows you to work inside those columns, because if you're finding with our sales process, then I know it's boring, but you can say, man, I have these 60 deals and these 11 of them are popping up today as the next step. And I know the next step is for me to call them and say, hey, does it make sense for me to schedule a lunch and learn with your team? And I can make 11 of those phone calls and check that out, boom, 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 boom. And on my verbal commits, hey, Raf, does it make sense to get your team on Easton University? Now I can work through my CRM in terms of how I speak and how I communicate and how I can operate. So my recommendation to you would be something like a Pipedrive.